Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wealth and Wellness Network, the show that empowers women to reach their greatest income potential using wellness practices that promote prosperity. My name is Letitia Johnson, of course, and I go by La, as sure know. And I am your Wealth and Wellness Network host. I also have my lovely co-host, Lalanya, on the line. What's up, Lalanya? How are you today?
I'm ready to get it started. Are you kidding me? This is going to be an awesome week.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a wonderful time. We have some great things in store for you today. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's going to be an awesome episode, I must say. I'm super excited. We have a wonderful, successful businesswoman in our studios who specializes in wellness and holistic beauty. So we're excited to introduce you to her today. But before we get started, we're going to talk about something that us women don't always like to really touch base on. We're going to talk about improve your lifestyle when it comes around to your image, okay? So it has been a topic in the news because this show isn't really about politics or anything like that, but I'm going to bring up a very sensitive name, a sensitive subject, Donald Trump.
Okay, now watch out. Everybody stay calm.
Are you ready?
Stay calm.
Are you ready? Now don't stop listening to us once I mention this name because it's totally not about politics. But I have to bring up this gentleman. His name is Donald Trump. And the reason why I'm bringing him out, I know, ladies, I know, I did it again. I hope I didn't mess up your day. But listen, I have a reason why I am bringing up his name, because I happened to be reading this article that was in Forbes, and it stuck out to me because the title of the article was, "Why Do Beautiful Women Keep Marrying Donald Trump?" And I thought it was hilarious. So the article talked about, could it be because of his money, and the obvious answers, but thing about it was there was this other this other side of it where it was saying that it's not really the money per se, the fact that he's worth billions, or the fact that he's a politician, he's our president, but it's because there's this thing where money kind of makes you look a little more attractive. And I thought that was interesting. And I started to think about it, right? I started to think about my own life and, different people that I know that I've seen go from nothing to something. And I started to think about, what it was like when I was in college and I was broke, and what I looked like, and, how I'm evolving. And is that true? If there's some truth to that. So
I think that's really interesting because, my perspective when I think of that, is it money or is it being put together and that empowerment of knowing where you're going, right? Because we know those people who can put themselves together on a dime and they look sharp, right? We see them, and every single time they walk in the room, they look like $1 million, but did they spend $1 million? No. Right? They put that image, that package together, and it's amazing because it absolutely affects how you feel, right?
Absolutely.
And how you take on your day.
And that's why I started to really dive a little bit deep, and you know how it is when you kind of get into that social online dark hole, or what they call it, when you look at one article, you start going through articles and articles and articles, and the next thing you know, it's like an article. It's like an hour that just passed. But so I started to look into things around image, and let's face it, women. Let's face it. Image is important, especially when you're in business, because like Lala just mentioned, when you're well put together, there's a certain aura about you. You tend to attract a more positive type of people, if you will. You might attract a larger net worth into your circle. So, image is very important. And for women, unfortunately, how we look is always, I hate to say an issue, but it's always a topic because, there's this idea that we have to look a certain way or dress a certain part. But I started to go a little bit deeper. As I said, I kind of went into that dark hole of just looking at more information about, image. And really, when it comes to image, it's more about yourself. It's more about how your self-image affects how you look and feel, like Lala mentioned. Just if you think about it. Have you ever this happened to me maybe about 2 weeks ago. So I woke up and I was under the weather because weather has been transitioning. I'm located in Philadelphia, and the weather was transitioning, and it's been like that for the longest time. And I woke up feeling very sluggish because my allergies were like crazy. Sinuses, I had a sinus headache, couldn't really breathe that well, and I just felt so sluggish. And honestly, when I put on my attire, it kind of represented that, But
I've seen that look, honest, by the way.
You see the good, bad, and the ugly, okay? Yeah. But just a couple weeks prior to that, when it was my birthday, I was throwing it on. You couldn't tell me anything because I was just like excited, and it reflected that, So, our wellness plays a major part in how we look, how we feel, how we think about ourselves. Our inner beliefs, our emotions are even plays a major role in how it is.
Well, I was going to say too, sorry, that's psychology right there. I was listening to a psychologist one time that was talking about make sure you wear good underwear. Man, you want to feel good? Start from the bottom up. Don't be wearing anything holy. And it was great. It was very funny. But what he was really saying was that put on your best, right? Go ahead and put it together because you're going to radiate that from top to bottom. You're going to radiate it. People are going to feel it. And it's going to be amazing how good you feel. And
absolutely.
I loved it. It was really good. I'm actually going to find a sound clip that we can play maybe a few weeks from now because it was something that I feel would be of great value to everyone.
Absolutely. It's so true. And with that said, we actually have a wonderful dynamic guest today who can really speak to this topic. I am so excited to have the wonderful, dynamic, and Alexis Sonder on the show today. Welcome, Alexis. How are you this morning?
Hi, I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. So for those who are not familiar, Alexis is a nutrition and holistic beauty advisor. She is on a mission to change the beauty industry and help educate people about the harmful ingredients and toxins in our foods, which cause many of today's diseases. Alexis also loves empowering women their self-image through wellness. So let's start by telling our audience why you're so passionate about this crusade of improving women's wealth and wellness.
Yeah, sure. So it was about 8 years ago, and I was in a really bad place. I was in a bad marriage. I had actually started out that marriage. My mom had gotten really sick. She was diagnosed with metastatic colon cancer. And as maybe you know, colon cancer is one of the most treatable, preventable cancers that we have. It's very slow growing. But when she got diagnosed, it was stage 4. And it had spread to her liver. And I was newly engaged. I was trying to plan my wedding. And then I get, hit with this news about my mom. And she didn't want to know anything about her prognosis. She just wanted to know what to do to get better. So, of course, me being her daughter, I had to hear the prognosis, which they gave her 6 to 18 months to live. That was it. And
wow.
Yeah. So all this time, now I have not only a wedding to plan, but now I've got my mother to take care of and worry about and make sure, you know, that she's good. And the one thing that her colon surgeon said to me was make sure that you keep her mood positive. For whatever reason, science can't explain it, but people survive a longer rate of cancer when they have positivity surrounding them and their moods are elevated and they have, you know, no stress. To try and keep her stress to a minimum. I was like, oh my God, great. My mom's got this death sentence and like now I gotta like make her happy. So yeah. So anyway, we decided to move my wedding up. So I had to plan a wedding in 3 months. We moved the whole wedding from Philadelphia to Florida, made it a lot smaller. Thought that, you know, it was good for my mom to get away. We were just going to invite, you know, some friends and close family and just make it, you know, just really intimate, but more of a destination wedding. So it was special. And so that's what we did. And I didn't even know if in 3 months how my mom would be. So what I did was I started reading everything. I read every book I could get my hands on, everything on basically what to do to, you know, help my mom and her prognosis and to keep her on this planet longer than what the doctors are telling us. And, you know, I grew up on processed foods. I grew up on eating Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch. You know, we always had tasty cakes, and all my friends would come over after school to eat at my house because it was like the place to be with all the junk. And, you know, my mom we didn't know any better. Like that's what we grew up on. And, well, come to find out that a high sugar diet, high fat diet, and a diet that is high in meat, like red meat especially, is basically cancer causing. Sugar is the #1 thing that is evil. I mean, it's 10 times more addictive than crack cocaine. And it does the same thing to the brain that cocaine does when you snort it. So it's scary. So anyway, and cancer feeds on sugar. So basically, what I learned was everything that I had been eating was basically going to end up killing me in about like 20 years. So, you know, we had to change her diet and everything. And she ended up living almost 4 years. So they gave us 6 to 18 months as a prognosis, and she lasted almost 4 years, which, you know, for her condition was good. So she was great at my wedding. She was able to dance and she was healthy. And so that was great. But she ended up passing away, and I was devastated about that. So I then started to dive deeper and say, okay, how do I stay around? By this time I was married already. I had a baby, 15 months old, a little girl. Then I got pregnant 2 years later with my son. So now I have these 2 little kids, and I'm like, I cannot be dead at 60 like my mother and not be around for these kids. So what do I do? So I just, you know, followed every guru, followed every video on YouTube that I could get my hands on of people talking about a holistic plant-based diet. I found out that's the way to go. And you know, eating from the earth. Basically, if it comes in a box or a bag, don't eat it, is what I learned. So, you know, and now I have totally changed my life. I changed my everything, my money story. I changed my image. I changed my skin. Everything about my whole life completely changed when I changed my lifestyle. And I didn't do it all at once. Obviously, I did small changes in small increments over, you know, the course of about 5 years. But so, and I want to pass the knowledge on to people that are either in the same boat or that want to use, you know, preventative care instead of paying tons of money for medical bills down the road. Invest in yourself now, eating healthier food, organic food, better beauty products that don't have the toxins and the chemicals, so that our bodies aren't working so hard to flush out all of the, you know, toxins and things that we get into our bodies from the food source and from our products. We get enough chemicals and things thrown at us from the environment that we can't control. But our food and what we put in and on our body, we can control. So that's why I'm on a major crusade to empower women and let them know that it's not overwhelming, and, you know, I can help them.
That's so powerful. You said there were so many nuggets in that. I want to just go back a little bit to talk about foods and how foods and boosting our moods. because a lot of us, a lot of people in general, but with women, emotions are very is important. You know, we actually live out our emotions on a daily basis, and a lot of times the reason why we're emotional is connected to food, but a lot of us aren't aware of that. So can you talk about how foods can boost your mood and how it's connected to your emotions, and even how your mother was able to how you were able to utilize that strategy with helping your mother boost her mood?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if you've ever heard of live food versus dead food. So basically everything is energy. From the food we eat, money is energy. We are all energy. You know, they say like your vibe attracts your tribe. It's because energy is all around us. And if we want to live the most fabulous, awesome life that you can possibly live, you basically have to raise your energy vibration. And one way to do that is through your food. Plant-based foods are the best way to elevate your energy and your vibration, because everything that you attract to you and into your life is about what energy level you're vibrating on. So if your frequency is low, meaning you eat low energy foods like sugar and processed foods, and you don't eat vegetables and fruits and things that come from the earth, you're all about fast foods and things like that, that's dead food. And that is very low energy. And basically it goes into your body, and that's what you're going to give off is very low energy frequency. So you're going to be sluggish, you're going to be tired, you're going to have brain fog, you're going to have insomnia, you're going to probably have some kind of like skin problem, acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis. Those all have to do, I firmly believe, with our gut, because 80% of our immunity is in our gut. So if we by eating all that food, we create a hostile environment in our gut, meaning the good bacteria is very much is a lot less than the bad bacteria. So and when we have bad bacteria, that's when we get sick a lot, our immune system breaks down. So by eating a plant-based diet full of fresh fruits and vegetables and organic meats and fish and chicken and all that stuff, those are live foods from the earth, and that is very high energy food. And you can feel it as soon as you've been eating like that for at least 3 or 4 days. All of a sudden you'll start to see like the whites of your eyes will get a little whiter, your skin starts to glow. People will ask you like, did you do something different? You're like, no, I'm just eating right. And it really it helps with the moods. It helps with mood swings. It helps with like I said, skin, acne and everything. Acne is totally a product of what's going on in your body. So you really have to change inside to change your outside.
That's phenomenal. You know what? Right now, I must say, because obviously this is radio and no one can see what's going on in the studio right now, but Lala is literally doing backflips because this is her deal. And she had,
I'm holding back by not saying all. I mean, I could be chiming in so much. I'm actually sitting over here saying, no, you just be quiet. She's the guest on the show. It's all good. Yeah,
I know she has some questions for you. She is like,
first of all, I couldn't agree with you more because, for me, I'm a fitness nutritionist. I also work with a holistic doctor. And then we talked about, that training and just all those pieces. So you're singing to the choir, as they like to say right now. Awesome. And I was even thinking to myself, now, do you consider yourself to be on almost a pure alkaline diet for the most part? Yourself personally?
I would like to say so, and that's a good point.
And Kim, for our listeners out there, can you kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, so basically cancer and other diseases cannot live in an alkaline body. So when you're very acidic, so there's acidic and there's alkaline. When you're very acidic, that means the pH balance in your body is off. And it should be at, your pH should be at like a 7, I think, right?
Yeah.
And when we're acidic, our pH is anywhere from like 1, 2, 3, 4, or it can be off the charts, like 11.
Yes.
So in order to change the pH in your body, you have to cut out anything that's acidic, anything that's got sugar in it. Sugar is like one of the main things that makes your body very acidic. And that's one thing I learned about how to prevent cancer is if you can alkaline your body, you're golden.
Right. It's such an amazing thing. I mean, I think about the blessing of that additional time with your mother, right? That really impacted me quite a bit because through the years of obviously being involved in the same thing, and I am incredibly passionate about it, I've seen such turnarounds and extended in the vitality and vibrancy of someone's life because they took the sugars out and they brought their body to more of an alkaline state. And it's really phenomenal. And if people could put their finger on it, if they could really feel it and have that testimony and feel it like you and I feel it, right?
Yeah.
It would be life-changing. I mean, I literally have goosebumps right now because it truly is such an amazing thing. And that connection between the skin, too, I love that because the skin being our largest organ, there it is, right? It's visible all the time. It's right there. It is so affected. So and I'm really fascinated when we move into the products because we know that internally, right, it's going to be affecting our skin. When we cut out the sugars, when we change our diet, when we're eating live foods, when we're eating fresh foods, the skin really does start to have a glow. But I'm curious because you've delved into something that I don't really know that much about. I would love to hear your what you've been doing in regards to the makeup and those other toxins that we're putting on ourselves all the time, especially as women, right? Yeah. I mean, how much are we spending a year on that? In fact, before you answer this question, I have to give you this tidbit because I just read it. Talk about the whole Letitia in Facebook. I read this article. Do you know, guess how much the average woman spends in her lifetime on cosmetics? This was according to a Newsweek survey. What do you think it is?
I'm something scared. Out. I'm scared to hear the answer.
I would say over $1 million.
So good. You are right there. It is on average, the average woman, now of course this is across the United States with all different pay grades and national average is about $700,000 in their lifetime on cosmetics. So let's talk about cosmetics and those things we're imposing on ourselves.
Yeah. So this is another thing that I'm so passionate about because we think, okay, we're buying all these amazing products at Neiman Marcus, we're buying things at Sephora, Nordstrom, and we think, they're in the marketplace, they're on the store shelves. The beauty industry's got our backs. They're looking out for us. They think, they wouldn't be selling it if it was dangerous.
Right. Imagine that.
Yeah. Then I come to find out, first of all, the beauty industry has not changed their laws governing what goes into the products and the labeling of the products on the packaging since 1938.
Oh, so a couple days ago.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
And every year we introduce 1,000 new chemicals. Okay. The European Union and the United States were given the same exact list of toxic, dangerous chemicals that are dangerous for human health, causing infertility, causing cancer, causing hormone disruption. I mean, endocrine disruption, so many things. The European Union banned 1,300 of these chemicals. Guess how many chemicals the United States banned?
0, 1,
5 maybe.
30. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I, heard that, I was like, oh my God. So what do I use? So basically, I partnered up with this company called Beauty Counter. They are based in Santa Monica, California. And I know, everything that comes out of California is like pure, healthy. They know what's going on with health. I mean, they were healthy in the 80s when the East Coast, we were still eating tasty cakes and crap and didn't know what a fresh juice was.
I'm born and raised Cali.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm a California girl, and you
Lala is so proud right now.
No, but you know what? There's so much truth to that, because when I transitioned and moved 3,000 miles, I was shocked. I mean, on every block, we've got a vegan, you know, healthy restaurant. I mean, we have all of these things in the area I was at. I got to Boston. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
What? Where's the recycling? Where's the restaurants?
Right? Yeah, and even in California, that state in particular has different laws and rules for their labeling of their products.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the United States doesn't have it. So bizarre. But anyway, so I found out a bunch of chemicals that we all need to look out for when we're reading labels. One of them being sodium lauryl sulfate. When you buy your, you know, bubble bath or your shampoo and it's really like luxurious and it's really lathery and you're like, oh, and you're dying in the shower about how lovely it feels. Well, that like really thick lather, that's from sodium lauryl sulfate, and that is toxic. It causes cancer, basically. So like Lala said, our skin is our largest organ. It takes 26 seconds for anything to get into our skin and get distributed to all our major organs. Crazy. Another thing to look for is propylene glycol, parabens, something called triclosan, which is in our toothpaste, aluminum, which is in our deodorant, and that's another thing with breast cancer. Now all these women are getting breast cancer under the age of 40. And 90% of the breast cancer tumors that are tested of women under 40 are happening in the upper 4 quadrants of the breast where we put on our deodorant, and they all have traces of parabens in the tumor.
Wow, that's powerful. I love this. See, I love this. This is so dynamic.
I think we have to have a part 2.
Absolutely.
I think we need a part 2.
But I want to just shift. I just want to shift gears just a little bit, because this was something you mentioned earlier, and a lot of the people that are listening are connected to business, or they want to improve their personal finances. But something you said that was very dynamic in the beginning, which is something that both Lala and myself talk about so much on this show, is changing our money story. And you mentioned earlier, when you started to change your diet, it actually improved your relationship around money. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I had a very high sugar diet, I always found it difficult to concentrate and focus. I was very forgetful, and I was like, oh, I'm blonde, I'm just an airhead. And when I started changing my diet and really cutting out, you know, the sugar and the dairy and all that stuff, wheat, gluten, when I started cutting that out, I noticed that like my concentration improved, that I was way more focused at work. I could actually sit and read like 3 chapters of a book, and rather than just like 3 pages. And in turn, because my mind was getting so much clearer, I felt like I had more confidence. I felt like, you know, my thinking improved. Like I felt like my inner thoughts, they weren't as negative before, which is like really weird to think, but like I felt good, so I was thinking good thoughts. And we all know when, you know, what we think about, we bring about. And so I started to read a little bit about, you know, law of attraction and affirmations and mantras, and how they're really powerful to help change our lives, and whatever is going on in our life that we want to change, it's those are very powerful tools. So basically, the more I improved my nutrition and I was feeling good about myself, I really wanted to expand on that and improve my my personal growth. So I started, you know, asking people about, you know, self-help books and things that I could read. And there's one book that I read called The 4 Agreements, which is great. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it's real short. And it basically, that's what started me on this journey. And it really helped to, you know, to realize that we're all walking around with the same fears and the same, no matter what walk of life we come from. And that gave me so much peace of mind, number one. Number two, to, you know, really stop bashing ourselves in our heads. You know, we're our worst critic. And as soon as I started to think positively, and you know, I was a single mom. I got divorced in 2010. I had 2 little kids, 3 and 5, and I left with nothing. I had no money, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got to raise these kids. They're used to a certain lifestyle. I lived on the main line. I had, you know, everything I wanted materialistically. And when I left with nothing, and I had to live in an apartment, and I had to get a job. So I had to change my money story quick. And how was I going to do that? It was through affirmations and mantras, and basically changing that that trash talk in my head. And I got my hands on every book that I could read, every audio tape, everything. And that really, really, really helped me.
Wow. I love that trash talk. I love that. That's amazing. Love it. So before we have to get out of here, unfortunately, it's so good. We don't want to let you go, Alexis.
Man, we need a part 2.
I know we should do a part 2. I have so much more to say.
Yes, stay tuned for part 2, ladies. Stay tuned for that. But can you let our listeners know a little bit how they can learn more about you, learn a little bit more about your journey and your crusade, and kind of what's next for you? Can you share with us?
Absolutely. So I have a Facebook page that it's my personal page, but I use it mainly for business and to empower people, and it's all full of great information, education, you know, inspirational quotes. I share articles, basically everything that I get my hands on, that I read, that I think would be a valuable tool for someone. I share it on my Facebook page. So find me on Facebook at Alexis Sonder, Sonder. And I also have a plant-based community group that I post tons of recipes and other useful information about, you know, how to change your lifestyle without being overwhelmed to a healthier lifestyle. And it's called Oh, How We Glow.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So you can find me
Awesome.
in there, and you can message me there. And then I also have a link to my Beauty Counter website if you guys ever want awesome, toxic-free, amazing products from California. They ship right to your door. There's a skincare line, hair care, sun care, stuff for kids. It's amazing. And that is beautycounter.com/Alexis Sonder.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Alexis. We will make sure that we add all of those, all of that information in our show notes. But sorry, ladies, that's all the time we have for today. I know it's so good. We do not want to go. Lala is literally, she's sad. She's like tearing up right now.
Thank you guys.
This is my new best friend, Alexis. Don't go anywhere. What is happening here?
Thank you so much.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure having you today on our show. And thank you all for joining us today. And join us at each and every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Same time, same place. You know the drill.
Get that week started right.
That's right. We'll see you next Monday. Have a very awesome, productive week. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.